Well, I think there's a path. And Chris Broussard said something off the air yesterday. And he was like, could Kyrie for Anthony Davis be a thing? And as often happens when Broussard muses on things, I just dismissed it out of hand. I was like, that's ridiculous. It's not even worth discussing. However, a few hours later, I was on with my dear friend and mentor, Colin Cowherd, on what I consider to be the best podcast on the Volume Podcast Network, even though it is old media. And he proposed the exact same trade. And I'm like, well, it's one thing when Brew proposes it, but when Colin does, I'm like, I'm going to have to pay attention. But I was like, still, I don't think that works. I don't think if you're the Lakers, you can trade Anthony Davis for Kyrie Irving. But then I thought about, and so I said to Colin, I was like, the Nets would have to give up more. And I was like, what is the more? And I said, oh, wait, what about the biggest, most blockbuster NBA trade ever? It's going to sound shocking, but then, Brew, what I would ask you is, do both teams have a 6-hour meeting about it? Do both teams say, okay, we need to get the whiteboard out and do pros, cons, and all of it? The trade is AD and Russ for Kyrie and Ben Simmons. So the best player in the trade goes to the Nets. The worst player in the trade goes to the Nets. Kyrie is a question mark. Ben Simmons is a question mark. None of them are as much of a... Russ isn't a question mark at this point. He's just a wrong answer. So you have the blue chipper in AD plus Russ, a little reunite with Kevin Durant, plus the fact that he's expiring, to go along with Kyrie, who the relationship is souring, and Ben Simmons, who's never played for you. If you're the Lakers, Ben Simmons can play center. LeBron and Kyrie are reunited. If you are the Nets and you want to see if it can work with Russ, if there's any team that has enough shooting, it's a team that has Seth, Joe Harris, Patty Mills, and, oh yeah, Kevin Durant. And if it doesn't work, you can buy him out midway through the year or just let the contract expire. That is a trade, Brew, that I think both teams have an all-hands-on-deck meeting for. Our second and third best player for your second and third best player. And let's see if we can shake the snow globe, because as presently constituted, both teams need to shake the damn snow globe.
Big time.
Well, all right, let me clear a few things up. That's interesting. I'm going to get into that. First of all, I did not propose a Kyrie for AD trade. I was thinking out loud.
You just mused.
Okay, there's a difference. I was thinking out loud.
That's true.
Just musing. Yes.
That's true.
All right, but let's assume, so we can discuss. Well, let me say this first. Ideally, if I'm the Nets, I come to a compromise with Kyrie, in which, let's say he wants the full 5-year max, and we settle on a 3-year max, or a 3-year max with some incentives in there to get him to the max, how many games you play a year. So ideally, that's what I want to do with the Nets. If I'm them, I want to try to see what I can do with Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and AD. Or in Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and KD. All right, now, we also have to assume, Nick, for the sake of discussion, that Kevin Durant is cool with bringing Westbrook there, right?
Yes.
Because he could nix it right away and just be like, no. And Westbrook could too.
Correct.
But let's go ahead and say they're both fine with the reunion. Now let's get to the crux of the matter. This is the very definition of my problem for your problem. I mean, this is my problem for your problem on steroids, all right? So, but I'm going to be honest, Nick, I don't hate it. Obviously, Kyrie has spoken wistfully of his time with LeBron, right? Like, oh, man, It was, I'm the one that ruined it. I know now what LeBron was doing as a leader, all that. Ben Simmons has been a longtime protege of LeBron's, all right? So maybe if anybody can get Ben's mind right, maybe it's LeBron. And I would agree with you, the Lakers are the ones taking the biggest risk. Even though the Nets are the ones getting Westbrook, the Lakers are taking the biggest risk because Kyrie might tire of LeBron. Kyrie might, want to go back home and be in Jersey / Brooklyn.
And Ben hasn't played.
And obviously you don't know where Ben Simmons' mind's at. So they're taking the biggest risk. The Nets, look, I know it's fashionable
KD
to
and
rip
AD
Russell
is
Westbrook
good.
now. Well, AD obviously is great. We don't even, he would be great. But Westbrook and KD, it worked. I know they didn't win a championship, but that was a very good team. How good? We know they got to the finals as youngsters. This is how good, though, after that. In 2016, they beat a Spurs team that won 67 games with Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge at the height of their powers. They beat them in 6 games. Yep. And then they went and had the 73-win Warriors down 3 games to 1. Okay, now I know we know how it ended, but to get them down 3 games to 1, it had to work to some degree. And a lot of reason, Nick, and you know this, the reasons those teams lost in the playoffs a lot of times was because Durant was injured a year, Westbrook may have been injured, Serge Ibaka was injured. Like, they had a lot of injuries.
That's right.
And so I'm not saying it was Magic Kareem, but if you think of all the stars in the league, are there any better suited to play with Russell Westbrook than Kevin Durant? Because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. Durant knows how to play with Westbrook. Now, whilst I get what you're saying, I would rather keep Kyrie and Simmons. But if it gets completely untenable, then I don't hate this if Durant's all right with it because he knows how to play with Russ. And again, I got AD. And like Nick said, we got shooting.
You get AD.
So I don't think it's that bad. Right, you get AD too. It's not just those two.
I mean, I hate this
that's
on
not
a
bad,
molecular
Nick.
level. I hate it on a molecular level for several reasons. The first reason being, a few weeks ago, I said, you know what Russ should do to get back on track? Hit some free throws. He's in the 60s and he used to be 85%. And I was lambasted. I was put on a stake. Yeah. Oh, you can't do that anymore. His shot is fundamentally broken. I'm talking about moving his free throw percentage up 15 points, and you guys ripped me. But now all of a sudden we can get into a DeLorean and bring back Russell Westbrook from 2016, who was so successful. Kevin Durant said, you know what? I don't care about my legacy. I'm out of here. So I don't think it works at all. What I want Kevin Durant, Nick, to have is a normal basketball team. That's it. I hate my problems for your problems. It's not like that anywhere else in the world. Like a waiter, there's a hair in my food. Oh, sorry, let me bring you back a salad with a little piece of glass in it. No, that's not how it works. I want normal food. That's it. Kevin Durant has played with Harden's going to work. No, Harden's not going to work. Kyrie's going to work. Kyrie's not going to work. Ben is going to work. Well, no, I didn't even suit up. Just get Kevin Durant a normal player. Normal guys
like Anthony
who want to
Davis.
play basketball, a normal team. That's it.
You guys are missing the forest for the trees. I shouldn't say you guys. The whole point of this for the Nets is to get Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis on the same team. 2 switchable 7-footers who at their best are 2 of the very best players in the league and can play both ways. It would be a matchup nightmare for teams. The only way they can get, I feel like Wilds, you would have liked this trade more if it was just Anthony Davis for Kyrie and Ben Simmons. Like, you're getting lost in the Russell Westbrook part.
I don't like the drama. I just want an average team.
Okay, well, is that true?
Then you
average
could
team with a star
works. Well, here's
Russ
the thing. Let me just
joke.
stay here for a second. But I don't know if Russ will be any good for this. I don't know that it matters. Because here's what I know. We have proven, can you win a title with an all-time great player and Anthony Davis without another star? Yes, we saw it happen. Also, do you guys remember 1 year ago, Kevin Durant released his all-time team? And curiously, we can show it to you quickly, who was on it? In place of Tim Duncan was Anthony Davis. Now, I took issue with this and tweeted to KD about it as we've been, slowly trying to fix our relationship. It took a few detours this year when I, said he's second place for life, but still. And Durant tweeted back and said this about Anthony Davis. AD can knock down the 3 middies from everywhere, a handle, if need be, would be a cheat for any team ever created. That's April of last year. He then went on when I asked him about Duncan. I'm like, but what about Duncan? And he said, I get that about Tim. I can counter with AD being a switchable defender and rim protector. Elite at both, too. That's Kevin Durant on Anthony Davis. So, the Wilds, you're focused on the Russ part of it. KD plus AD would be, I think many would argue, the best duo in the Eastern Conference by a sizable margin.
That'd be interesting.
Now, I would still go Giannis and Middleton because I have such regard for Giannis. But as far as two guys, if we're taking like the net average of the two guys, and then you see if there's any juice left in Russ, and if not, you can buy him out. You send him home. And it's KD, AD, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, whomever else. Like, I think there's a meeting.
That's more
I
interesting.
think there's a long meeting in Bobby and Sean Marks' office about this. And I think Rob Pelinka sees if he can get Linda Rambis on the line. See if she'll okay it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.